Hello everyone. Welcome to YuktMind's initiative 10 minutes and newspaper done. Today is Monday, 22nd May. So let's start our week with effective dose of current affairs. We have selected 7 news today about Krishna River water dispute, PM statement about sovereignty, Namami Ganga program, primary schools, India and Quad, human pan-genome map and open network for digital commerce. You can download the PDF of the gist from our Telegram channel and website Daily Current Affairs tab. First news, stalemate over sharing of Krishna River water to continue between Telangana and Andhra Pradesh in the next water year as well. River water disputes are the most common type of interstate disputes in our country post independence or even before that. Telangana has made its stand clear at the recent meeting of the Krishna River Management Board that it would, under no circumstances, agree for the 34 is to 66 ratio forced upon it since the bifurcation for one more year. 34 will go to Telangana and 66 will go to Andhra Pradesh. Interstate water dispute resolution mechanism. Water is included in the state list of the constitution. It can be subject to the center's arbitration only if it involves a clear case of conflict or dispute. Article 262 of the Constitution allows for providing an adjudicatory mechanism for any interstate water dispute by the Parliament. It says that Parliament may by law provide for the adjudication of any dispute or complaint with respect to the use, distribution or control of the waters in any interstate river water or river valley. Parliament may by law provide that neither the Supreme Court nor any other court shall exercise jurisdiction in respect of any such dispute or complaint. Sadly, this has not happened. Supreme Court directives have taken place in various cases like Kaveri River water dispute between Tamil Nadu and Karnataka. Interstate River Water Dispute Act 1956 was passed by Parliament subsequently under Article 262. Now, River Krishna is the second biggest river in peninsular India after Godavari. It is third longest after the Ganges and Godavari. It is also fourth largest in terms of water inflows and river basin after Ganges, Indus and Godavari. It originates near Mahabaleshwar in Maharashtra. It runs from four states Maharashtra, North Karnataka, and the rest of its journey in Telangana and Andhra Pradesh before it empties into the Bay of Bengal. Tributaries are Tungabhadra, Mallaprabha, Koyna, Bhima, Ghataprabha, Yerla, Varna, Dindi, Musi, and Ganga. Please remember the tributaries as these are asked frequently in the preliminary exams of UPSC. Second news, speaking at the working session 9 of the G7 summit, Indian PM said that it is necessary that all sides should respect the UN Charter, international law, and nation states should respect each other's sovereignty and territorial integrity. India has always felt that all tension and dispute should be resolved in a peaceful manner through dialogue. And if a solution is reached through dialogue, then that should be respected. Our PM raised the voice of Global South in his G7 statement, stating that global peace, stability, and prosperity are part of the common goals of us all. In today's interconnected world, unrest in any region affects every country, and developing economies that have limited resources are easily affected by such events. The developing countries are paying a heavy price because of the food, fuel, and fertilizer crisis. Now, what is G7? G7 is an informal grouping of seven of the world's advanced economies like Canada, France, Germany, Italy, Japan, UK, and USA. European Union is a non-enumerated member. Earlier, Russia was its part from 1997 to 2014 and was suspended following the annexation of Crimea. G7 accounts for over half of global net wealth, 30 to 40% of global GDP, and 10% of world's population. Third news. Over 4,000 volunteers called Ganga Prahari under the Namami Ganga initiative have been keeping a check on littering and poaching in the river to make sure that its flora, fauna are intact. In return, the Wildlife Institute of India has helped them with livelihood training. Since 2014, Namami Ganga has aimed to clean the river, ecosystem, and the villages around, home to 40% of India's population at 520 million and 2,500 species of flora and fauna. The United Nations in December 2022 recognized the initiative as one of the top 10 world restoration flagships involved in reviving the natural world, a project that has seen the central government invest $5 billion. Now, Namami Ganga is an integrated conservation mission approved as a flagship program by the Government of India in June 2014 for two objectives, that is, abatement of pollution and rejuvenation of national river Ganga. Fourth news, 1 in 7 Indian primary schools run by a lone teacher. Now, this shows grim picture of Indian government schools. The Right to Education Act 2009 states that every school must have at least two teachers. According to the Unified District Information System for Education, the proportion of a single teacher schools in India is still a high 14.7%. States with bigger proportion of single teacher schools at the primary level are Andhra Pradesh 34%, Jharkhand 30.9%, Telangana 30% and Karnataka 29%. In 9 of India's 21 major states, the share of children studying in single teacher school was well above 10%, rising to 25% in Jharkhand. On an average, single teacher schools had 39 pupils in Madhya Pradesh, 46 in Jharkhand, 70 in Uttar Pradesh, and whopping 96 in Bihar. Only 9 of India's 21 major states had an average pupil teacher ratio below 30 in single teacher schools. Single teacher schools are not same as mini schools. Before the Right to Education Act, many schools were set up to extend school education to sparsely populated areas like Northeast, Arunachal Pradesh, etc. But this option became harder to sustain because of the new norms. Some states tried to merge mini schools with bigger schools, rationalization as the National Education Policy calls it. It is possible that the Right to Education Act made it a little harder to avoid single teacher schools as it requires the presence of a primary school within 1 kilometer of every habitation. Fifth news, India as a quad-led biomanufacturing hub. What is Quad? You can read about it in detail in our PDF provided in our Telegram channel and current affair tabs and website. It is a group of nations consisting of Australia, India, Japan and USA, and it is believed that forum strategically counters China's economic and military rise. Leaders of these nations met on May 24, 2022 in Tokyo for the fourth time, and they're going to meet for 2023 Quad Summit in Australia. Let's begin with this item. In March 2021, the Quad set up a critical and emerging technology working group to facilitate cooperation, monitor trends, and scout for opportunities related to developments in critical and emerging technologies that included biotechnology. The establishment of a Quad-led biomanufacturing hub in India will give the necessary fillip to enhance this cooperation. Biomanufacturing uses living systems, particularly microorganisms and cell cultures, to produce molecules and materials on a commercial scale. Many countries, including the USA and China, recognize the need to optimize the biomanufacturing ecosystem and have designed specific policies to shape their bioeconomies. India's National Biotechnology Development Strategy also envisions the country as a global biomanufacturing hub by 2025. While the strategy sets a target of $100 billion for the hub, it is important to recognize that India's ambitions require external support, particularly through its Quad partners, to enable its initial development. The Quad should establish a biomanufacturing hub in India to benefit from the country's economic potential and address supply chain vulnerabilities. The US has significant funding capability, while all three, Japan, Australia, and USA, also possess advanced biotechnology innovation ecosystems and intellectual property. India is the ideal choice to host the biomanufacturing hub thanks to its existing infrastructure, pharmaceutical manufacturing expertise, and the available workforce. Countering dependence on China is one of the factors behind the initiative. In a separate matter, concerns about China's dominance in APIs pushed India to launch a production-linked incentive scheme that allocated $2 billion to the pharmaceutical sector to make biopharmaceuticals, APIs, key starting materials, and related products. Now, what is API? It is active pharmaceutical ingredient, which is the biologically active component of a drug product that produces the intended effects like tablet, capsules, etc. Sixth news, understanding a human pan-genome map. What is a genome? It is the blueprint of life, a collection of all the genes and the regions between the genes contained in our 23 pairs of chromosomes. Each chromosome is a contiguous stretch of DNA strings. Our genome consists of 23 different strings, each composed of millions of individual building blocks called nucleotides or bases, known as adenine, thymine, guanine, cytosine. Genome sequencing is the method used to determine the precise order of the four building blocks and how they are arranged in chromosomes. Sequencing individual genomes helps us understand human diversity at the genetic level and how prone we are to certain diseases. The genome is an identity card and as unique as Aadhaar. As sequencing individual genomes is expensive, so we can have a collective identity card. For example, we can have a single genome identity card for everyone living in a specific region. What is a reference genome? When genomes are newly sequenced, they are compared to a reference map called a reference genome. This helps us to understand the regions of differences between the newly sequenced genome and the reference genome. One of the century's scientific breakthroughs was the making of the first reference genome in 2001. It helped scientists discover thousands of genes linked to various diseases, better understand diseases like cancer at the genetic level, and design novel diagnostic tests. Additionally, it was not representative of all human beings as it was built using mostly the genome of a single individual of mixed African and European ancestry. The new study published in Nature changes this. The pan-genome reference map is built using genomes from 47 anonymous individuals, mainly from Africa, but also from the Caribbean, Americas, East Asia, and Europe. Now, what is this pan-genome map published in the Nature? Unlike the earlier reference genome, which is a linear sequence, the pan-genome is a graph. The graph of each chromosome is like a bamboo stem with nodes, where a stretch of sequences of all 47 individuals converge, and with internodes of varying lengths representing genetic variations among those individuals from different ancestries. Using longer reads helps assemble the sequences with minimum errors and read through the repetitive regions of the chromosomes which are hard to sequence with short read technologies used earlier. Why is a pan-genome map important? Although any two humans are more than 99% similar in their DNA, there is still about a zero point 0.4 difference between any two individuals. A complete and error-free human pan-genome map will help us understand those differences and explain human diversity better. It will also help us understand genetic variants in some populations which result in underlying health conditions like autism. Although the project is a leap forward, genomes from many populations are still not a part of it. For example, genomes from more people from Africa, the Indian subcontinent, indigenous groups in Asia and Oceania, the West Asian regions are not represented in the current version of the pan-genome map. Seventh news, Open Network for Digital Commerce. The Union government is looking to formally launch the Open Network for Digital Commerce this year to democratize e-commerce and to provide alternatives to proprietary e-commerce sites. While it has urged companies to join the ONDC platform, major e-commerce players like Amazon, Flipkart have been reluctant. What is this ONDC? The government wants to change the fundamental structure of the e-commerce market from the current platform-centric model to an open network model. The ONDC is modeled after the Unified Payments Interface UPI project, which allows people to send or receive money irrespective of the payments platform on which they are registered. Similarly, the government wants to ensure that buyers and sellers of goods in the e-commerce market can transact regardless of the platforms on which they are registered. So under ONDC, a buyer registered on Amazon, for example, may directly purchase goods from a seller who sells on Flipkart. Now, why is the center pushing for ONDC? The government believes that the ONDC will put an end to the domination of the e-commerce market by a few large platforms. It says that e-commerce market is currently broken into silos, operated and dominated by private platforms like Amazon and Flipkart, who have been accused of promoting certain seller entities in which they hold indirect stakes. Food delivery apps such as Swiggy and Zomato have also been accused of charging high commissions from sellers. With an open network like ONDC that connects buyers and sellers across platforms, the government hopes to level the playing field and make private platforms redundant. Critics doubt the benefit of ONDC because sellers are already free to list their products across various e-commerce platforms even in today's platform-centric e-commerce model. Buyers also routinely shop across platforms. Then there are also services such as price comparison that are offered by various private websites that bridge the information gap and help buyers make better decisions. Now, competition generally pushes e commerce platforms to prominently list products that are most likely to catch the fancy of buyers. Platforms may invest money to build exclusive onboarding and listing processes. If the open network's rules prevent platforms from benefiting from such investments, they may cease to make them anymore. This will eventually affect the quality of services available to consumers. Thank you for watching. Let us know your feedback in the comments. Keep visiting our website, Telegram, Instagram, and Twitter.